And there's another story goes with that too.
Oh, okay.
The stormtrooper, the Russian stormtroopers, actually liberated our camp. The Germans left the guard towers at midnight, and early the next morning, the stormtroopers came in and tore the fence down and let us out. And of course, we were all grateful for that. But what we didn't know at the time, the Russians had plans to take us for slave labor down in Siberia. But they didn't because they flew from B-17s in from England and got us out of there.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't know that at the time, but later on found out that's what could have happened to us.
Oh, my goodness.
They flew us to, I've forgotten what the name of the town was in France, and then they put us in trucks, trucked us on down to the French coast, and we were, there were thousands of us, I guess. We were in a tent city. The one I was in was called Lucky Strike. Another one was called another cigarette brand, whatever it was. And we were there, it seemed like a long, long time. The troops were so upset that General Eisenhower came and was about as close as I am to you almost. And he said, "Gentlemen, we're doing everything we can to get you home. There's so many of you, and there's so few ships." He said, "Just be patient," and that's it. So after he talked to us and left, we were all patient, and then we finally got home.
Oh, wow. That's very cool, especially at such a young age to have the president come and, and address you like that.
Well, he was General Eisenhower then.
Oh, he was just a general.
Yeah, he was president later.
Okay, my history is showing, isn't it? All right, so you came back home, and did you continue your military career then?
Yes and no. At the time, we were still at war with Japan. But then when they dropped the atomic bombs, then that slowed the war down for us.
Yes.
And then was when they started letting us out. So I got out November of 1945. I only had 27 months of active duty.
Wow.
But
it was pretty active, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot was crammed into that 27 months.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Spencer. What do you think about the current military situation now? Do you think that we have enough soldiers in duty now?
No, we certainly do not, and that's being discussed on the media all the time. In fact, I brought along a letter that I sent to a high school student.
Yes.
I wrote it way back in 1995. It was one of these programs where the schools asked the students to write to a serviceman, especially prisoners of war. And even in 1995, when I wrote that letter, I told this young lady then, I said I was proud of my service, but I said I still think that every man should have to spend at least a year in the military, and I still feel that way.
Well, I think that military service definitely changes you. My son was in the Army for 3 years. He's a tanker, so he's using a different means of combat than what you were. He was a tank driver, and he was a loader on a tank for 3 years. He spent about 6 months in Africa. They were there on a mission. But it definitely changed him. Being in the military made him grow up. It made him a rule follower. And I have to tell you, he would get so aggravated, and I'm sure you had the same thing because you were very young. He was a little bit older than some of the recruits that were coming in when he came in. And he said, "Mom, they don't listen. They just don't listen to anything. If you would just do what they say, then we would get, privileges, but they don't." And he was so angry that people would not toe the line and do what they were supposed to do. But he definitely learned how to be a stand-up person by being in the military, I think.
Oh, definitely.
It definitely will mature you.
Even though times have changed from my youth to his youth, it's still, if you can get regimented and follow orders and do what you're supposed to do, you're going to be a success. Your success rate is going to be much more so than if you just lollygagged around, like a lot of guys are doing right now.
All right, now I have to tell people what you do for a living. You take your business with you everywhere you go because
That's right.
Dr. Spencer is a chiropractor right here in Lawton. And you've been in business how long?
I opened my office December the 26th, 1952. which means that next month I will finish my 63rd year of practice.
And still practicing.
Well, I'm only 91.
Only 91. That's right. You've got years left.
Yeah.
You've got years left in you, don't you?
I'm shooting for 100 at least.
Wouldn't that be awesome? That is so amazing. What would you say your biggest wish for the military is currently, right now?
The biggest wish right now is for Congress to get some money to back them up, because the money is just not there for what the troops have to do these days.
Yes.
The money's not there for them.
Well, I have to tell you, I was shocked when I found out what these recruits go into the military for, the amount of money that they make. I was completely shocked. My son was like, I could work. He worked as a guard at a prison. He was making more money doing that than he was when he went into the military. I was completely shocked.
Well, of course, in the military, you do have chances to get upgraded,
right,
and promoted.
Right.
And it's up to you to do that. But the military today is really suffering because they just don't have the backing of our administration.
I think that the adventure that you had, and I want to call it an adventure when I know it was very, very scary at that time, is that not something that just stays in your mind all the time? I mean, how lucky you are, first of all, to be where you were and not someone who perished when the plane went down, but to be able to live with that memory like that.
Well, you know, wars are fought with young people, young men. And we just, young people don't fear much of anything.
No.
And back in those days, we did do what we were told. If they tell you to do this, you do this. If they tell you to do that, you do that. That's all there is to it. And you, like I say, you have a chance to finish your career. That's just like, if I may add to my story, when I came out here, I joined the Air Force Reserve. There was one here at that time in Lawton. And then eventually I transferred to the Oklahoma Air National Guard in 1963, and we were assigned to Military Airlift Command, which meant that we hauled cargo all over the cotton-picking world.
Wow.
So from 1962 until 1977, my mother kept track of my travels. I was in 49 different countries, hauling cargo for the Air Force.
Wow.
And practicing full-time. Like a trip to Australia came, I'd book out for 11 days. Trip to Vietnam, I'd book out for 9 days.
Oh,
trip
wow.
to Europe, I'd book out for 7 days and so forth. In fact,
you had 2 full-time careers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have that. In fact, as a civilian, I have the Vietnam Service Medal with 5 battle stars from hauling cargo in and out of Vietnam during the entire Vietnam War.
Wow.
So it was interesting.
Seriously, 2 completely separate careers, both of them during wartime.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You are totally amazing. Tell me what rank you retired at.
06, full colonel.
Wow.
Full colonel.
Wow. That's amazing. Dr. Jack Spencer, we're going to say Jack, even though his name is John. He gave me the rules on that, too. It's just a nickname. Thank you so much for being in the studio. I'm so looking forward to continuing to follow you. I told you, now that I have your number, I will probably stalk you and tell you how proud I am to know you. I just think you're an amazing person to know. And I agree with so many people that have said that your generation is the best generation that this country has ever seen. And I honestly believe that. Totally honored to have you in the studio today.
Well, I thank you for having me here. If you want me back, I'll come.
Oh, definitely. I'll want you back.